What's that time for you? It's not dirty, it's fading. It's not dirty, it's fading, isn't it?
She was more exercise.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
She was a bit more.
Yeah.
Healthy.
A bit more healthier.
No, she's
You're a bit podge.
not receiving good.
Yeah, I'm going to take you out a bit more often, eh?
Yeah.
Take you out a bit more often.
Okay.
So I've got to take it now then, innit?
Yeah, that's you should not. Tell them.
Yeah, I've just got to go take my dog out for a walk, man. I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, leave the party, you alright, man? It's fine. Do you think I've got to go and take... Yeah, see you, man. Take care.
I want to watch that thing what Boris Johnson says at
That when? I thought it was 5, isn't it?
5:30, isn't it?
I thought it was 5. Still got it now. It's 5 o'clock, don't it?
Out of the submarine?
The 16-foot-long spar present.
We'll have some, when we have some over.
Oh my goodness, we straight in.
Wow.
42 goes on. 45.
It's hovering.
Oh my
Come on, come on, come on.
All online at 48. All online at 58. Any
The brooch was a £5 and the dish was 25.
60.
Push it to 60.
58 pounds.
A goodbye, a Roo deal.
Indeed. And that's 3 profits in a row. Is Roo heading for the victory that has eluded her until now?
Well, that's probably a bit more than I anticipated.
Ah, it's David's Shetland ponies.
Straighten at 20, 25, 28, and 30.
Profit.
At
Come on.
38 now.
Make it 100.
Times there at 38. Up 45 pounds.
Oh, she's working it.
59.
It's 55, come on.
55 again.
Keep it going.
Come on, people, it's only a picture, pony.
55.
55s.
Last chance.
No, don't do it.
55
Hammer down.
now. 55.
I thought that might make 100.
Did jolly well though.
I might be catching you.
I
Miss
think
Roo.
so. I think you're sprinting up behind me.
I might be.
It's getting close. Stand by for Roo's tray, marked Keswick School of Industrial Art.
Lovely lot man, straighten at 50 pounds.
Come on, it needs to go higher. It needs to go higher. It could be making bid.
50, looking for 2.
Come on.
50 pounds is here for sale now.
Oh, come on.
Maiden bid.
50.
Oh dear, that's Roo brassed off.
And that had a really heavyweight name to it.
Yes. It also made quite a big dent in Roo's lead. Never mind. Now, the auctioneer had high hopes for David's vintage Rudge bike.
Straighten up 70 pounds there.
Wow.
80 now. At 80 pounds.
Done amazingly
85.
well.
At 90 now.
Come on.
At
Get
95
100.
You're in profit.
All online.
No, that's money back. That.
100 now.
Oh, David,
Get
well
110.
done.
Take the 10.
Well done.
With 20 now.
Oh.
20 pounds there with 20. With 30 bits.
Yes. 200, you greedy thing.
30. 130.
30. That's good.
30.
130.
Well
Wowza.
done.
Well, that puts David on the up.
If this is a comeback, I am the king comebacker.
If you say so. Time for Roo's final lot. The 1800s Langholm-made grandfather clock.
What should we say for this? About 82 pounds 85, 88 and 90. At 90 pounds.
Anything up in fives, two.
Stick at 100.
At 5 and 8.
Stick at
That's
100.
nothing.
At 100 pounds there.
Come on, you need to go up in
At 100
tens.
pounds there at 100. Look,
Go on, get
Come
that
on.
hammer down.
110.
Oh.
It's a lovely grandfather clock.
150 now.
150?
Come on.
150.
That's a lot of clock for £150.
I like cucumbers.
You can't argue with that.
You're sus.
Yes, it's good.
Look at you.
Huh? I think he knows only his 7 vanity mirrors stand between him and victory. Here we go.
120 online. I've got 130 on the books.
Come on.
130. 130, 140, 150 still with me.
Come on.
At 150 pounds there. At 160, 170.
Someone in the room.
170 still with me at 170. 180.
Come on.
David.
Still with me. At 190 there. At 190.
190. One more and I've done it.
190 right in.
One more. Let's get the
At
two.
190 pounds.
Come on, this is so painful.
Do not sell them yet.
190.
I'm happy with that.
That's a good one.
You reckon?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hang on for the final results. Rue began this leg with just over £348 and did very nicely, ending up with £352, 20p. But David, who set out with £277.90, was fierce in pursuit of profits and beat his buddy with his delicious £403.44. All profits go to children in need. Hurrah!
Another day, another vote. Something.
That's it, Rue. That's it.
You've been a very fine companion.
Well, you've been all right, if I'm
Oh, thank you.
We know he loves her, really. Boy, what a trip it's been. Their car was so zippy. And they got quite drippy. It's been bonkers at times. They gave stuff a go.
It's better than driving a car, man, than car.
Can I slow it down?
Can you see that squirrel? I'm going to shoot it. In filming terms.
And had fun, don't you know?
I want to see you in leather chaps.
And were always dressed up to the nines.
Oh, David! This is sweat, darling.
Next time,
Better move out! Irene's coming!
we say hello to a new face and an old friend. Yes!
Wowzers!
What larks, eh?
The end of a dramatic week in the square as Cat gets a surprise hospital visitor. EastEnders is tonight at 8:05. And at 9 o'clock, Ramesh Ranganathan's in the chair with guest Joe Brand of I Got News For You here on BBC One. Next to Downing Street for a BBC News special.
Coming up now.
Hi, everyone! How's the regular new now? You cannot teach creativity.
Well, we've,
And I've done it now.
what do you call it?
I just want to look at it forever.
What's it called again?
Find in the next segment, so BBC Dream Glow Up streaming now on BBC iPlayer. We're just constantly
watching it. Probably won't watch all of it, it's maybe, innit? We'll get the gist of it all, innit? It's only this one, fucking other stuff, fucking about one about it, fucking
Look at the light. What's amazing?
Oh, this is like Miami.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, a bit more, yeah, but...
Your Home Made Perfect, the brand new series, starts Monday the 24th of May on BBC Two and iPlayer.
Can you bring them my works?
Hey?
Can you bring my works?
Why not?
Pointless over on BBC Two right now. Here on BBC One with a change to the schedule as we join a BBC News special.
Hello, good afternoon. This is BBC News, building up to the latest coronavirus briefing from the government. It's led today by the Prime Minister. Our headlines. Glasgow and Moray are to remain under level 3 restrictions in Scotland for at least another week after a rise in coronavirus infections there. It means people won't yet be able to hug and visit other households indoors.
The outbreak, which is heavily centred at the moment in the south side of the city, is being driven by the so-called Indian variant.
Meanwhile, the UK government sends more doses of the coronavirus vaccine to Bolton, one of the areas of England hit by the Indian variant.
We've sent more doses to Bolton, and of course we will obviously follow the clinical advice if they think that it would help if we shorten the interval period.
Portugal says British holidaymakers can visit the country from Monday, but the government in Lisbon says some limited COVID restrictions will stay in place. But people in Wales are being encouraged to holiday at home this year and not to travel abroad unless they really need to. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to BBC News. Heading up to the latest coronavirus briefing from the government. It's led today by the Prime Minister Boris Johnson alongside the government's Chief Medical Advisor Chris Whitty. We will bring you that live here on BBC News at 5:30. Well, they are expected to address those concerns about the Indian variant after cases in the UK more than doubled in a week to over 1,300. The Department of Health says most of the cases are in the northwest of England, some in London. Now, additional vaccine doses have been sent to Bolton, which has a particularly high rate of the Indian variant. The council leader there is pushing for those aged 16 and over to be vaccinated, with the vast majority of cases in their teens, 20s and 30s. Surge testing is being carried out in 15 areas of England where the Indian variant has been detected. That includes parts of London and Merseyside. Now, the Vaccines Minister, Nadhim Zahawi, has been talking about, in his words, flexing the vaccination programme as a way of trying to prevent the spread of the Indian variant. That would include sending additional doses to areas affected, as in Bolton, and also bringing second doses of the vaccine forward. The government has refused to rule out the possibility of introducing local restrictions to contain the virus. And the R number, which is the number of people that someone infected with COVID will pass the virus on to, has risen slightly in England. It's now estimated to be between 0.8 and 1.1. It means that on average, every 10 people infected will infect between 8 and 11 other people. In the last hour, Nicola Sturgeon has announced that Glasgow and Murray will both remain under level 3 coronavirus restrictions for another week, and that is because of a rise in infections thought to be driven by the Indian variant. The rest of mainland Scotland will move to level 2 from Monday, which will allow people to hug and visit other households indoors.
But the advice given to me by the Chief Medical Officer, and which has informed this decision, is that we need a few more days to assess the data and build confidence that the situation can be brought under control, or at least that it is not resulting in an increasing rate of hospitalisation and severe illness. Accordingly, and very reluctantly, we have decided to err on the side of caution and also keep Glasgow City in level 3 for a further week. Again, I know how disappointing this will be, but pressing pause for a few days will hopefully avoid a situation in which we have to impose even more restrictive measures over the next few weeks.
So that's Nicola Sturgeon. Let's talk to our Scotland correspondent, Lorna Gordon. We knew the situation, Lorna, in Murray was bad, but this rise in infections in Glasgow has been quite sudden, really.
It's taken people by surprise because, you know, it was just 3 days ago on Tuesday when Nicola Sturgeon announced that most of mainland Scotland would be, or most of Scotland in fact, would be easing restrictions, and that included Glasgow City, but that is not the situation anymore. The authorities are very concerned about what's happening here, particularly in certain areas in the south side of the city. They need that time, they say, to assess the situation further. They say that these increasing levels of infection, they think, are being driven by the so-called Indian variant. They have brought in mobile testing units to the areas that are causing particular concern, but I think this is the government really pressing the pause button and hoping that gives them time to work out what is going on, target the measures to try and bring it back under control. But of course, a lot of people are going to be very disappointed. There'll be businesses that we're getting ready to reopen or further open, that have been told they have to pause. Those gyms that would have been organising indoor classes, for instance, they can no longer do that. And of course, people who were hoping to hug their relatives again, that can no longer happen. Now, there will be financial support for businesses both in Glasgow City and in Moray as well, to help them get through this next 7 days, at which point the government will reassess. Nicola Sturgeon said there were grounds for optimism about what's happening in Moray. It looks as if the targeted interventions they're making there are having an effect, but they will be watching very closely what's happening in Glasgow. And for now, in both areas, people are being asked not to travel in and out of either Moray or Glasgow City.
All right, Lorna, many thanks indeed. Lorna Gordon there for seeing Glasgow. Well, the government is sending additional vaccines to parts of northern England, where there have been sharp rises in cases of the Indian variant of coronavirus. Advisors are thought to be considering other measures, including shortening the gap between vaccine doses and offering jabs to multi-generational households. Professor Peter Openshaw is an immunologist and respiratory physician at Imperial College London, also Vice Chair of NERVTAG, the Department of Health Committee looking for emerging respiratory threats. He's been outlining for me the impact of the Indian variant and what it could mean for the decisions around easing restrictions in England.
I think there's a great deal of concern about this new variant, and its apparent enhanced transmissibility, even compared to the Kentish variant, the B1.1.7. But the scientific data is emerging. It isn't certain yet, really, how severe the disease is in those who haven't been vaccinated by comparison with previous variants. I think it is very clear that there is a considerable degree of lessening of disease in those who've been vaccinated, and I think it's absolutely vital that measures are put into place, which include extending vaccination into all of those eligible for vaccines in these parts of the country where this variant is being found, and also combine that with enhanced local public health measures.
Well, that was Professor Peter Openshaw talking to me earlier, and I've also been talking to Dr. Deepti Gurdasani, who's clinical epidemiologist at Queen Mary University of London. She gave me her thoughts on what the rising numbers of the Indian variant means for the easing of restrictions in England.
I think it's very clear that they can't go ahead. What we're seeing is rapid rises in numbers of cases of this variant within the UK, so potentially doubling of this week on week, while cases of other variants and overall cases have been declining. This suggests that even with current restrictions in place, this variant is rising with a fairly high R number. And if we ease restrictions further at this point in time, the spread is going to become even more rapid. It's very clear that even current levels of restrictions are not adequate in many places where we're seeing surges, for example, like Bolton, and we just heard about Glasgow, we know about Bedford as well, and Blackburn. So we really need to think about how to contain this urgently rather than opening up further, which I think is really not going to help contain this.
Well, let's talk now to our health correspondent, Jim Reid. Let's talk more about the Indian variant. And Glasgow and Bolton are these two areas that are of particular concern at the moment, and you've been doing some mathematics on that.
That's right. So Boris Johnson, in about 10 minutes' time, is going to outline, presumably, what the government in England are going to do about this spike in cases in the Indian variant. Now, ministers in England haven't ruled out extending some lockdown restrictions in certain areas. That's what they were saying this morning. But there has been some sort of reluctance, it feels, by ministers to go there. This idea of this tiered system, you'll remember from last October, lots of scientists saying that didn't work as well as perhaps it could have done. So it feels that there's some reluctance there. So interesting that Nicola Sturgeon in the last hour has effectively announced that in Glasgow, saying that restrictions are going to be kept in this area around Glasgow City for some while longer, at least a week longer. But when you look at the rates between those places, so she mentioned that Glasgow currently has an infection rate, or Glasgow City has an infection rate of just over 80 per 100,000. You compare that with Bolton. Bolton's currently 228 per 100,000. So we're getting on for kind of nearly 3 times the infections. So when you look at that, you wonder if Nicola Sturgeon's announcement in the last hour could actually put some pressure on ministers in England and on Boris Johnson in about 10 minutes' time to maybe go further than we thought he might have done and impose some sort of extra restrictions on some areas that have seen this spike in cases recently. We'll have to wait and see in 10 minutes' time.
But I mean, some people might say, the vaccine's being rolled out very successfully. A spike in cases is not the same as a rise in the number of hospitalisations and deaths, and maybe that doesn't mean that we should in any way curtail the easing of restrictions.
I was speaking to Bolton Royal Hospital about this yesterday, and they're not seeing a big increase in cases come through yet. They've seen some increase in people coming to A&E, but not in admissions and not in the more vulnerable elderly population coming through the door needing treatment. So when you look at what's going on in Bolton, these infections, this so-called Indian variant, are very much focused in that younger age group. So it's the under 60s. They haven't seen an increase in the over 60s yet. So the question is that vaccines working really well in that older age group and protecting that age group, or is it not? Is it the fact that we've seen this before, where you start to see the infections in the younger age group and then it moves up to the older age groups? And that's one of the key questions that scientists, doctors are going to have to tackle over the next couple of weeks or so, because you're trying to sort of predict what's going to happen, which is a very difficult thing to do, and there could be potentially lives at stake as a result of this.
One of the ideas for Bolton, while it's happening, actually, they're sending extra doses of the vaccine up there, but there's been a call for everybody over the age of 16 to be vaccinated there. So you just have not just surge testing, but surge vaccination. Is that a way forward?
So that's what Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Manchester, called for earlier this week, and we had the leader of Bolton Council saying that he had very productive meetings, conversations with Matt Hancock about this earlier today. So it looks like the signs are that something like that could be potentially on the cards. Some other areas in the north of England, Blackburn and so on, have attempted to announce this over the last couple of days or so, and apparently have been knocked back by NHS figures, people in the government saying they moved too quickly. The question is, could this be announced now in this news conference coming up? The idea here is obviously if you can vaccinate the people who are currently spreading the virus most quickly, then perhaps you can head off any kind of rise in infections and this kind of movement up to these more vulnerable groups. The argument against it is that actually if you get vaccinated, it takes a good few weeks, 3 weeks or so, until you start to have any sort of immune response to that vaccination. So actually the problem in some of these areas is sort of now, and even if you could vaccinate everyone over the age of 16 in Bolton tomorrow morning, you're not going to see the benefits of that for maybe 2, 3, even more weeks to come.
I suppose the danger is we can get a bit spooked by these new variants. I mean, viruses do mutate, don't they? We know that. When we've heard about the South African variant, the Brazilian, and now the Indian, there will always be new variants.
There will. I think the difference with this Indian variant is the speed at which these infections have gone up. So we were talking about the South African variant for many weeks. There was targeted surge testing in parts of South London, in other parts of the country as well. That still stayed at around and about 400, 500 cases in the UK of the South African variant. What we've seen with the Indian variant is this more than doubling week on week. So we had about 1,300 cases confirmed yesterday. The week before it was just 500 or so. So it has been going up more quickly.
So is it more transmissible, in other words, than other variants?
That's the key question. Now, is it down to more people travelling from abroad, perhaps seeding this infection into the community, and that's what's triggered it? And actually, with targeted testing, with more vaccination, it can head off any increase? Or is there something innate, biological with that variant of the virus that's causing it to spread more quickly? And the honest answer is scientists do not know yet. It looks like there are some signs, the vaccine minister was saying it this morning, that it might spread more quickly than the variant we're kind of used to in this country, the so-called Kent variant, but we do not know that for sure yet, and we do not know how much more quickly if that is the case. So that's one of the key questions that's going to have to be answered.
Jim, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. And let's get a political perspective now, because we're hearing the Prime Minister's press conference is delayed just a few minutes, probably until 5:35 in fact. So let's talk to our political correspondent Ian Watson. Ian, well, we were just hearing there from Jim that if they're pausing the easing of restrictions in Glasgow, then just based on the number of cases, they should probably be thinking about doing that in places like Bolton. But presumably Boris Johnson will be loath to do that.
You're absolutely right, Ben. He will be loath to do that for a number of reasons. He wants to get the economy going again, but also he's under huge political pressure from people in his own party. So the Conservative leader of Bolton Council, for example, was saying there should be no lockdown in Bolton, and his logic is that in a densely populated area such as Greater Manchester, if there was a lockdown, a local lockdown there, people would simply move to another of Greater Manchester's boroughs, for example, if they wanted to go and have a drink indoors, and therefore you might end up spreading this Indian variant more widely than otherwise would be the case. Equally though, the Labour mayor of Greater Manchester as well, Andy Burnham, is against local lockdowns, as we're hearing. He favours a vaccination surge, but it's down really to the Joint Committee for Vaccinations and Immunisations to advise on what the best way forward is. Certainly we would expect them to see a recommendation to speed up vaccinations for the most vulnerable groups, the second vaccinations, whether they think it is worthwhile with that delay in getting immunity of 2 to 3 weeks to do the same for 18-year-olds, or in Andy Burnham's case he said even 16-year-olds, to get vaccinated in those areas remains to be seen, and I'm sure the Prime Minister will be telling us what that crucial committee has recommended on that. Politically, Boris Johnson certainly wants to be able to go ahead, and we believe he will go ahead in easing restrictions in England on Monday. That will mean indoor hospitality, groups of 6 being able to meet indoors and so on. But there is now this stark contrast with how things are being done in Scotland, where restrictions aren't being eased in 2 areas. The south side of Glasgow, Nicola Sturgeon was saying, of course, there are concerns about the spread of the Indian variant there. So it's perfectly possible that the opposition will then raise questions about whether Boris Johnson's been cautious enough, because he said he's going to be led by data, not dates. I think another question which is going to come up with Ben is this, that India was put on the red list on April the 23rd. We now know the Indian variant has got into this country. There's some evidence it was emerging in India in March. Labour then had called for not just India, but travellers from all countries to be subjected to hotel quarantine, but there's also pressure particularly to put India on the red list, and I think the Prime Minister will be asked, did he act quickly enough at that stage?
We'll also possibly get questions about what appears to be a new government strategy, which is this idea of sort of surge vaccinations. In other words, sending extra batches and doses of the vaccine up to Bolton to try and deal with this surge in cases that we're seeing there.
That's right. What's happened at Bolton is we've got a rapid response team which has been sent there, and as you say, extra vaccine doses have been sent there as well. I think the emphasis initially, as we say, we'll find out whether this is going to be extended to all adults, including young people as well. But the crucial thing there is a worry about take-up of vaccination rates in certain communities. So in the 3 areas of Bolton where the Indian variant seems to be the most rife, these are areas of dense population, high student population, high population of people from ethnic minority backgrounds, and some people we know have been more reluctant to take up their vaccine than others. So I think the surge vaccine will also be a surge of people knocking on doors, encouraging people who are entitled to be vaccinated to get vaccinated or to get their second vaccine if they're entitled to that as well. So I think that there is a concern about uptake as well as the spread of this virus. It's not just about extending vaccinations to younger people, it's also making sure those who are already entitled to take the vaccine get the vaccine.
Look at the outreach, look at what I've done.
There seems to be some evidence that even if we were to get COVID-19 via the Indian variant, that those who are vaccinated will get a less severe form of the illness, and I think that's why there's going to be such emphasis on vaccination.
You'll see the
areas which are affected.
Ian, thank you very much. As I say, the Downing Street briefing with the Prime Minister just delayed slightly. We are expecting to see the Prime Minister and Chris Whitty any minute now. Let me just talk though again to Jim Reid, our health correspondent. Jim, just bring us up to date on the latest figures in terms of deaths and coronavirus cases, because clearly there is a lot of concern, even alarm about the Indian variant. But what's happening with cases and hospitalisations and deaths?
So if you look at cases in the last day or so, 2,193 new cases. All this talk of the Indian variant, but actually that was a fall on last week of about 10%. And cases in general have been heading down across the country, even though we talk about this spike in the Indian variant at the same time. 17 deaths recorded in the last 24 hours, and the number of vaccinations, again a strong day for vaccinations. So 635,000 first doses and second doses combined. I think it's about 220,000 first doses. So that campaign continues apace. If you look at hospitalisations, in Wales in particular, some very good news there. They've gone below the level they saw last year with the number of people in hospital. So, you know, overall, when you look at the country, positive data coming through at the moment, despite all this talk of this spike in very isolated areas, London and the northwest and the Indian variant.
As you say, the figures on vaccine rollout continuing, but the question is always, when we get a new variant, like this Indian variant, will the vaccine be able to deal with it?
And at the moment, there is no indication it won't whatsoever. I mean, this is a kind of key question that scientists are looking into. It's not actually an easy thing to work out. You have to carry out quite complicated lab tests, and even then, you can't really get an indication of whether the vaccines are working until you see some research done in the real world. So we have a good indication so far from the work done on other variants, that at the very least, the vaccines we're using, the AstraZeneca vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, are going to be very effective at stopping serious disease, hospitalisation and death. We don't know exactly how it's going to impact on cases. It could be the case that more people may end up...
Okay, Jim, thank you very much. Here is the Prime Minister.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. Throughout this pandemic, we've tried to keep people abreast of the latest information as soon as we get it. And since I spoke to you last Monday, we've seen further clusters of the B.1.617.2, the variant first observed in India. And we've seen it especially in Bolton, in Blackburn with Darwin, and some other parts of the country. At this stage, there are some important unknowns. We believe this variant is more transmissible than the previous one. In other words, it passes more easily from person to person. But we don't know by how much. I'm told that it's only marginally, I'm told that if it's only marginally more transmissible, we can continue more or less as planned. But if the variant is significantly more transmissible, we're likely to face some hard choices. And we're going to be learning a lot more in the coming days and weeks about that. The good news is that so far we have no evidence to suggest that our vaccines will be less effective in protecting people against severe illness and hospitalisation. So that means we're in a different position from the last time we faced a new variant before Christmas, because of the scale of our vaccine rollout, which Public Health England estimates has already saved almost 12,000 lives and prevented over 33,000 people from being hospitalised. So I believe we should trust in our vaccines to protect the public whilst monitoring the situation as it develops very closely. Because the race between our vaccination programme and the virus may be about to become a great deal tighter. And it's more important than ever, therefore, that people get the additional protection of a second dose. So following advice from the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation, we will accelerate remaining second doses to the over 50s and those clinically vulnerable right across the country, so that those doses come just 8 weeks after the first dose. And if you are in this group, the NHS will be in touch with you. We will also prioritise first doses for anyone eligible who has not yet come forwards, including the over 40s, and I urge anyone in those groups to come forward as soon as you can. At this stage, there is no evidence of increased cases translating into unmanageable pressures on the NHS, even in Bolton, and infections, deaths and hospitalisations nationally remain at their lowest levels since last summer. So, and this is a balanced decision, I do not believe that we need, on the present evidence, to delay our roadmap, and we will proceed with our plan to move to step 3 in England from Monday. But I have to level with you that this new variant could pose a serious disruption to our progress and could make it more difficult to move to step 4 in June. And I must stress that we will do whatever it takes to keep the public safe. Our surveillance and data gathering is now so advanced that if there was a danger of the NHS coming under unsustainable pressure, we would see the signs in the data very early on and could react in good time. And that gives us the confidence to continue moving forwards for now. But I urge everyone to exercise the greatest caution, because the choices we each make in the coming days will have a material effect on the road ahead.
No doubt.
To those living in Bolton and Blackburn, I'm very sorry that you're once again suffering from this virus, and I know how hard it has been for you, having been in a form of national or local lockdown for longer than almost anywhere else. But now it's more vital than ever that you play your part in stopping the spread. So we won't be preventing businesses from reopening on Monday, but we will be asking you to do your bit. Take the vaccine when you can. Get your free twice weekly rapid tests, and if you do test positive, you must self-isolate, and we'll provide financial support to those on low incomes to help them do so. As we move away from living our lives by government rules, and as we learn to live with this virus, then, as I said on Monday, we need to make our own decisions about how best to protect ourselves and our loved ones, informed by the risks. And for those living in Bolton and other affected areas, there is now a greater risk from this new variant, and so I urge you to be extra cautious. Our best chance of suppressing this variant is to clamp down on it wherever it is, and we'll be throwing everything we can at this task. Colonel Russ Miller, Commander of the Northwest Region, will be deployed to support local leaders in managing the response on the ground. There will be surge testing with mobile testing units, and the Army will be on the streets handing out tests. And there will be targeted new activity in Bolton and Blackburn to accelerate the vaccine take-up amongst the eligible cohorts, including longer opening hours at vaccination sites. And to everybody else across the whole country, wherever please get tested twice a week for free. Get a jab if you're eligible. Remember, hands, face, space, fresh air, observe social distancing from those you don't know. And if you're seeing loved ones, think really carefully about the risk to them, especially if they haven't had that second dose, if it hasn't yet had time to take full effect. I want us to trust people to be responsible and to do the right thing. That's the way to live with this virus while protecting the NHS and restoring our freedoms. And it's very clear now we're going to have to live with this new variant of the virus as well for some time. So let's exercise caution and common sense. Thank you very much. I'm now going to ask Chris to do the slides.
Thank you, Prime Minister. First slide, please. The first slides are very familiar to people watching these briefings. The first one is a number of people testing positive for COVID-19 in the UK, and as you can see, that has been on a steady downward path and is stable.
It's gotten better, so that's what we need to know, isn't it? You don't know how it got anyway, do you?
No. I don't know any of them.
Boris is the only one about to compare with because I like taking the mick out of him. Yeah, but I like taking the mick out of him.
He's a fool.
He's a fool, you're right.
Can't believe he got the job of leading the country.
Yeah, fucking idiot. I don't mind, I do not mind. I mean, I don't mind having, like, I don't know, some bagels or something or whatever.
You know, you can't live off bagels.
No, I'm joking. Did you bagels? No, I don't mind what we have. I don't mind what we have at all. Got loads in there, I really don't mind. I don't want nothing just yet though. Not just yet. I'm not hungry at the minute, it's like food your mum's feeding me. Yeah, I'm not hungry. I'm actually, since going around your mum's, I'm actually a lot fuller up than I used to be. I am. Oh, look at them dogs. Oh. Them dogs.
You're talking about the ones walking?
Yeah, that's the ones, babe. You got it in one. Got it in one. Got it in fucking one. Nice dogs, though. Nice looking dogs. Not as nice looking as you, though. Oh, in your water. Whoops.
Yeah, should I get that?
No, she won't. No, good drink with all of that. Drink and try.
Yes.
Oh, she's funny. So I think your mum and that and everyone likes to be a bit more than they did before, I suppose, now. Hey? Your mum liked that, didn't she? I didn't fucking say anything about the smell. It does smell like a care, though. I ain't gonna lie, it really does, doesn't it? Mad how you get home care, you can make a home turn into... So that's why she's got her fabulous to do that stuff, innit? Make it smell nice. Right, rescue, extermination, assassination. Let's go.
Shush.
Who you fucking shushing?
Yeah.
You fucking cants. Did you fucking pop out from the woodwork? Did you fucking pop out the woodwork, did you? For fuck's sake, was you really?
Load of shit.
Load of shit. Boris, he cracks me out. He just take the piss out of that cunt, you know? Oh, that's just creepy shit, man. I hate people who do that, you know. It's just creepy. That's creepy shit, man. Because we could be having sex for you know. Where's we having sex on the fucking? Do you know what I mean? Oh, you've heard us before, have you? Oh, right, okay. All right. Thank fuck for that. So how's the Ruined Mafia understudy going? Oh, nice. Oh, look in the group chat, yeah? Did you see my t-shirt? Did you see my t-shirt, man? Ah, look in the group chat. Bow to Mr. T. My t-shirt, man. Sick. Fucking sick. Medallions, I can help you with that. Not a problem. How many more do you need? 10? Alright, okay. I'm just going to do the sortie. I'll get you that. Alright? It's just resetted. I've just literally done double sortie, yeah? Both accounts. And it's just reset, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm going to do a double sortie again. Double bubble, mate. What? We got about an ounce of weed coming, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
About an ounce of weed coming for the weekend. Well, not just for the weekend, but still.
It's a bit longer than the weekend.
A bit longer than the weekend, should we say, yeah? I've had like over £400 spent on me, you know that? Mate, I'm one lucky boy, you know. I got a big fucking homemade chocolate fudge cake by her mum. Jeez, you wait till she's out Malteser on the top, man. Malteser, man. Oh, I'll show you the pictures in that tomorrow. Yeah, everything's wrapped in it. Picture, man. No, love a picture. Love a picture, man. Love a snap.
Yeah. Send me everything. It's always
yeah, you know what I took that for? Because fans OCD. Did you see the way it's stacked in there? Fucking OCD, man. She was stacked up there on it. No. It's not tidy. Yeah, that's it. Tidy, mate.
He sends me the same pictures if it's any consolation.
And everyone else. I sent about 5. I'll tell you who I send it to every day. Is you, Fran, Steve, Toxic, Ferris, and Zach.
In the beards.
Yeah, every day. All of them. The whole lot of you, mate. You're in trouble, mate. You're in fucking trouble.
They all get a picture.
Toon's got you, mate. Toon's got you now. You should have given me your Snapchat. I've got you now. I've got you with pictures, mate. With pictures, mate. Got you snaps, man. I'm snapping you up. That's what I'm doing. I'm snapping you all up. I'm snapping you up. Taking you on my wings, see? So to speak. Oh, you already managed that yourself, ribbon fucking master, man. Oh, you got over 200 ribbons, haven't we, all together? Yeah. Between 3 accounts, we got over 200 ribbons. You got 21, I got 20, 200, sorry, and Spags, how many you got? How many you got? Where? Almost 250 ribbons between us, 3 of us. No, we ain't. They've got a load more. You've got 180 to fill up, yeah? You've got a max total. Let's do this sortie. Exterminate assassination. That's easy. One for the sortie suit if I was you, man. That's one easy sortie. Honestly, I've already done the first already. The second's exterminate, and the third is that easiest assassination. One of the easiest assassinations on the fucking game. It's easy, man. Trust me, you're a blitz for that. I'm on the second one already. And that's with Fran's account, so you know how easy it is that way, right?
No.
Trust me, it's easy. It's the easiest sortie in a while. It really is. Why?
Some guy was and I wanted to light off and then he sorted someone else.
Oh, what? I hate people who do that. They try and sell it to you, and then they go automatically trying to sell it to someone else. You know what I mean? It's like, you should sell it to the first person. Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'll didn't reply. I'll like
Hello, Joe, mate. It's Matt. Have to go. Have you got any PS4 controllers at the minute?
Take a rip from the bomb.
What's that Cypress Hill song?
That's literally what I was.
Really?
Yes.
Bro. Nice.
My fucking TV's not working.
Hold on. Have y'all seen the movie How High?
Yeah, I've seen that film. That's a bang new film. How High? I just remembered that bits of it then.
Maybe I need to change the fucking batteries in this. What is that? That is AAA. Do I have any motherfucking AAA batteries accessible? That is a wondrous question. No, I've got a lot of 9mm rounds just lying in bags everywhere, but no fucking batteries.
That interests me.
Of course it would.
What kind of gun you got? Blade?
Imagine getting blanked.
No, but you're going to find fucking batteries.
Bro, I'm
You're
vibing
going
right
to
now.
find. No. They're going to find batteries. These batteries for the controller. For his TV remote. It's gone off. His TV's gone off.
Yeah, I've got a Canon TP9SF. 9mm. I've got it all modded out.
Oh, what you got on it?
Right now I've got an extended mag, which the mag originally holds 18 plus 1 in the chamber. Now it's 22 and 1 in the chamber. I got a laser light. It's a
what, scope?
Balder Pro. No, it's a laser flashlight.
Oh, laser flashlight. Okay.
I have a rubberized
do people
grip.
not know how to do vault runs? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know how to do those.
Deep sigh. Because I just keep seeing like people fucking, oh, I want to buy this mod, I want to buy that mod, I want to buy this, that and the other mod.
Bunch of lazy cunts.
For some reason, my remote is not controlling my TV.
Because you're a smart ass.
That is a dilemma.
That it is. Alexa, stop. I swear to God, if the music playing stopped my system from working, I would be pissed.
Soldier of America, send Africa to America. Soldier in the heart.
Interesting. Buffalo Soldier. It's a good song.
It is coffee, y'all.
Hey, yo, Toxic, hold up. I'll be back. I gotta go look for something.
Toxic, do you not like music?
Oh, sorry, Toxic. I was just looking for where the fuck we asked.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. Doesn't seem I can find a fuck to give.
Fair enough. Me neither. Me and you both, my guy.
Looks like we're in the same boat. It's just a shame that this thing's sinking.
It is a shame.
This is funny. Man says, want to buy a good spore lacer, no unrolls. Mine is unrolled and it's still decent. I guess I'm not going to sell it to him.
Dommage. Bro, Pop Smoke and Lil PJ is such a good duo.
I don't know who the fuck they are.
American rappers.
That's probably why. Although I know more American fucking artists than I do English.
Pop Smoke, you know, the guy that's like... fuck,
You're gonna say something, I don't really give a shit.
Okay, fair enough.
Toxic, why are you so toxic today?
I don't know, because my butt plug didn't arrive.
Ah, that's why.
Did you know that instead of a butt plug, you could get ginger and have a better time?
That'll burn you, bro.
People literally use ginger. They like shave it down and stick it in their butthole while they're having sex, so they fucking get more stimulation.
Dude, what? No, that is literally just like rubbing fucking chili powder in the ring of your asshole.
That's some cracked in bullshit, bro.
Oh, I can't remember.
There's an actual term for it.
Is the Lift G1 relic vaulted still?
I think so. What is it?
It's the glaive and shit.
Oh, yeah, it's vaulted.
Because this man's just trying to buy a fucking relic off me for 8 plat. I was like, nah, 15 plat each. Just good luck.
I'm trying to vibe out, so sorry. Music in the background.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh,
and I fucked my finger again.
Oh, did it come at me?
You know, I've got a little bit of flour left. I might actually pull my bong out.
Yes. Supremacy of the bong.
I like the way you move. I like the way. I like the way. I'm running out of oil, so I need to go and fucking hit up shop.
Yeah. Lucky bastard gets his stuff from a dispensary. Or do you?
Yes, sir.
I wish I did.
Where do you live?
France.
That'll be why. Do they have any plans on legalizing?
Nope. The thing is, though, it's not even medical because they don't believe in the medical aspects of it.
Really? Fucking kikes.
Uptight cunts. I have a lot of Australian friends, though. So, that's kind of how I got introduced into it. Where you live at?
The great old US of A, fucking middle of bumfuck nowhere.
In Colorado?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I've lived in Colorado. It's alright. Right now I live in Idaho.
Oh, shit, you're next to my grandma. I used to live in Spokane, Washington.
I've lived in Washington most of my life. Well, not actually.
Really?
I've moved around most of my life, but Vancouver, Washington is my hometown. I've been in Spokane quite a bit.
Yeah, I used to have a big house there.
So, where do you live now, you said?
France.
What, bro? What? Hold up. Why the change of scenery?
Because we moved here for school. And I've been here for 5 years. I might
College
go back
or
to
university?
High school.
You went to France for high school, motherfucker. You is whatever.
Yeah, I regret it. Anyway, I'm probably gonna either go to Holland or.
Parlez-vous français? Because I don't.
Well, I am fluent, so.
Very good.
I might move back to Washington so we could fucking link up if you wanted, or I'm gonna go to Oregon.
I'm
or
down.
Holland.
Go back to Washington. I actually